It's no good when you can hear the echo of yourself taking the microphone off. You guys got to talk or yell or do something, whatever you want to do. There you go, that's great. Well, listen, my name is Donny Fandango from 105.7 The Point, and I am absolutely honored to be doing this today. And just to let you know, I was out for a walk one day, and Tim Convy messaged me and said, hey, Donny, would you like to host this for us? And my initial response was, F yes. I was so thrilled. I love these guys so much, and not only just as great musicians, but as great people. And tonight, all of you coming out tonight, all of the money that's raised here with this ticket going to the St. Louis Area Food Bank, which is just another great, great, great thing. We're happy to help them out. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Ludo, everybody.
What are the towels for?
This is the first time that I've ever done an interview and gotten a towel with it. That's
exciting,
amazing.
yeah.
Like, this is fancy.
Yeah,
It won't be
Delmar
the
Hall.
list.
Standard interview towel here at Delmar Hall.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for showing up.
It's a sight gag for an audio media.
Well, gentlemen, it's really great to have you here and great to get to pick your brains a bit. I think the best place to start, the most logical place to start, is the 3 shows that you just completed last night. It was so fascinating to me that there was a storyline for all 3 of these that were connecting. I want to know about the storyline specifically and the brainchild behind it to start.
So we talked about early on making 3 different shows, each one being kind of its own different movie, and them kind of being interconnected as though they'd be sequels. And so sort of set out to come up with these 3 themes, and we like the idea of it being villains, and then victims, and then heroes. And so early on we came up with the first one being All Shadows Eve, where it's all the monsters. And then the second one would be the Quiet Pines Senior Prom, which is the plump, vulnerable, like, oh, what could happen here? Balloon just waiting to be popped. And then the heroes that swoop in and take care of it. And to me, those kind of represent, it's kind of the broad strokes of every version of HalLUDOween that's ever existed in any culture. This idea of what people are afraid of, and then like the creatures that are afraid of, the things that could happen to you, and then also the things you do to fight back. And so that's what people dress up as.
It was just amazing. It's one of the things I think about your band that kind of separates you is this amazing ability to mix the theatrics along with the music. I would not be someone that would be like, boy, I'm looking forward to the rock opera, you know. But you guys have a way of sort of doing these stories and making them palatable, kind of so that like we're enjoying it without maybe even knowing that that's what we're enjoying, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of entertain people without making them dumber is kind of the general approach. So, I mean, it's kind of a Trojan horse idea where it's a big shiny horse for people who just want to look at something shiny is the hope. And then, but then if you want to dig a little deeper, there's like a whole contingent of soldiers that are going to come out and do crazy stuff.
How long does it take you to put all that together? How those 3 nights? How long have you been chipping away at that?
First conversation about, hey, it's going to be different nights. I mean, and it took a lot of different forms and sizes, and it was sort of like, now we've got these ideas. Now how do we make them happen? And we're lucky to have a lot of friends who are hopefully still our friends after all that. And sort of try to execute it. But I feel like first conversations about, it was originally, there was talk of just the 2 things, and then we said, oh, it looks like we're able to do a 3rd show.
Right.
So that's when Batman got involved.
Yeah, yeah.
But when were we first talking about?
I think the first concepts I sent you guys was like May.
May, yeah. And then we announced the shows in July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started with the posters, just sort of what the vague concepts of the look and the vibe were, and then wrote the scripts and
we had to be careful about, as we announced them, saying, don't say too much because then we're committed to doing that.
Right.
And that still happens sometimes, or it's like, oh no, we've told people we're doing X, Y, and Z, so we have to do that now.
Right.
Who is the person here that has to say, we got to scale this back a little bit? Like these are some great ideas.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you that.
Some great ideas.
And
but
this is me in between them. This is what happened.
Yeah.
And then Dracula's gonna come through a portal, and then. Yeah.
God damn it, Andrew.
But it's all. We all.
But there's checks and balances in every band.
There's
gotta be. There's gotta be.
I will tell you that there was a conference call, a very involved conference call about all this with all four of us on the phone. And then as soon as that conference call ended, there was a conference call with three of us on the phone. But it all works out.
Yeah, I feel like in the grand scheme of grand schemes, I feel like I feel pretty good about my ambition to production ratio here. I feel like there were no major things that were like, and then we're gonna do this, and then it didn't, and then we were like, oh, we gotta get rid of that part. I feel like we basically did the broad strokes of every ridiculous thing we were talking about.
Agreed. And the things that we were like, we shouldn't do that, you were like, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And then we did. I mean, the table on stage for the first show, I was like, I can't believe I'm actually looking at this thing.
The Ghoul Summit.
That I was sure was never going to exist. But it happened and it worked and it was great.
I'm telling you, that show last night, and I went to the early show, was just so, it was the prom.
Yeah.
It was just such a tremendous show, not only from you guys visually, but you just sound so great. It's like you sound like you're practicing all the time, not going months between seeing each other.
Oh, we practice we've never stopped practicing. We learned the songs like last week.
Right. Let's talk about, one of the things I'm very curious about in this band is the personalities. Because I know Tim the best out of everybody, and Andrew just a bit. I'm very curious as to how the inner workings of Ludo work, not only when you're writing songs, but just as far as band relations go. You know, I'm very curious to know who, I know you guys all get along, but I'm sure that there are times that you disagree. I'm curious to know if there's a group that that kind of butts heads maybe a little bit from time to time, how you sort of get through those kinds of things, or if those things are even applicable in Ludo, and they might not be.
It also changes over time.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. It's changed. So we got together in 2003, and now it's 2019. So yeah, it changes. We used to talk about whose horse was in the lead. Do you guys remember?
Oh yeah,
this?
well, no, we each at different times we each had our own like horse race of the other members of the band, and like the horse that was in the lead was the band member you liked the most at that time, and the horse that was in the rear was a person you didn't like at that moment.
Changing all the time.
Yeah. It'd be like Ferrell is losing this race.
Yeah. If he puts
but
his
that's
bag
like
on top.
2009 or something.
We've been getting along.
But that's an important, but seriously though, and all joking aside, you have to figure out a way in which to in a healthy way, communicate with each other. And I'm sure that that's probably something you got to learn pretty early on.
Well, and the hard thing about it is that regardless, there's interpersonal stuff, but then on top of that, especially when you're touring, you're stretched extremely thin on no sleep, bad food, lost out somewhere on the highways, and
only with each other.
Yeah, and it's so your interpersonal skills kind of go out the window at a certain point. But I think that at least from my perspective, that a lot of it is, I would always try to approach things as, because I'm very momentum oriented personally. I try to approach things as I get excited about an idea and drive it forward. But try to balance, because when I get really excited about an idea, I become like, and drive forward. And the idea is kind of to train myself to sort of make sure that that's not running over other people's whatever. And because I don't want to do that. It's just
Right.
I get excited about the idea, and I get excited about it going forward. I want to create room for everybody to sort of collaborate. But it's hard because it's quite a maelstrom of energy that ends up coming together when I'm really excited about something. But trying to learn to be like, all right, what are you thinking? And what are you thinking? How do we get this in there? And what let's try that thing. And it's just sort of like improving those skills and you know, in terms of me creating space for people with those things, and also making sure that people are able to speak up. And but it's tiresome. I mean, like when you're on the road, like the idea of like you just played a show, you loaded off all your equipment, it's 3 a.m, you're driving through the middle of the night, and it's like your turn to drive, and then you sleep next to somebody in a hotel bed for like 3 hours, then you get up again. It's like, I need to have the conversation with Andrew where I tell him that he really isn't creating enough space with it. And I need to, like, nobody wants to have that conversation. She's like, where are we going? Right. Like, you know.
I also think that like spending as much time as we did together for so many years, that we became so used to each other and that dynamic and only that dynamic. So when we did stop touring and sort of were trying to reintegrate into the real world as adults, like I found my like in interactions with people, be like, oh, I'm no longer insulated by these 3 people that were around me all the time, and so much of what I do is informed by those 3 people being around me at all times.
Right.
And it was an adjustment, Donny.
This is not. You guys aren't really like, and by typical, I mean you're not a typical St. Louis band in the fact that, like, you know, somebody's not from Rock Hill, somebody's not from South County, somebody, which sounds like The Urge, and I didn't mean that inevitably, but that's kind of where it's going. But like, you're not sort of the typical band that all grew up here, that kind of came together to do this. So how do
Nothing organic about Ludo. It was completely. It was. We sought each other out and found each other.
And yeah, and it was full time from the beginning and a business from the beginning. I think, like you said, a lot of it's like, yeah, these guys and we're jamming in this, and then like, is it going to the next level? From day one, it was like, this is what we're doing. This is all we're gonna do.
This is the plan. Yeah.
It was this very intense, like, do not stop, cut out everything else in your life.
Well, because for me, like I had always assumed that you hear all the stories of how bands got together. It's like, yeah, we're hanging out in junior high, and then Vince picks up a guitar, like, what's this? And like, oh, I know that riff, cool. And then we started playing, and then I started singing a song, and suddenly we're the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, what? And I kept waiting. I was like, oh, that didn't happen to me in high school. Like, I mean, I played with some great guys in high school, but it didn't really work that way. I mean, everybody went off to college, and it was, you know.
Shout out Karate Lunchbox.
Yeah, Karate Lunchbox in the house, cover band. Hey, that was my high school band. And then, then I was like, well, it'll happen in college. And then I was in college, and I assumed that, like, eventually, like, you know, Flea would walk in one day and be like, we're roommates, let's play music. And like, he never came. It was just like some guy was like, I'm Jeremy, I'm in the business school. And I'm like, well, this is not gonna work. So yeah, I just kind of had to seek. I don't know what your experience was like trying to.
Where is Jeremy now?
He's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, doing mergers and acquisitions. But no, I mean, it's.
Is that real or not?
No, that's real.
Oh, God.
I can give you his full name. You can check him out on Facebook.
Don't.
So you guys were, I mean, goal-oriented from day one. And was it, hey, we want to get a record deal. We want our songs on the radio. We want to do big tours. What was the, or was it simply just the artistic side of things? We just want to have a great band and make great records.
Well, I think that could be answered by the title of the post we put out on STL. No, hold on. So we found my friend Dave and I, who had played bass in Karate Lunchbox, who then subsequently said, I can't do this anymore, helped, he and I found Ferrell on stlmusic.com.
Something like that.
Org.
Is this still around?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And so we found him on a message board there, and we're like, hey, we'll play together? And he came in and just super clean cut, you know, like, he's a slew high, and I was like, oh God, dude, I don't know about this guy. And he was like, oh, I'm Tim Ferrell. And then he started playing, he was just shredding, and we're like, okay, this is working out great. This is great. Like, are you sure this is the guy?
They gave me, so Dave and Andrew gave me a tape of Hum Along, Good Will Hunting, and Girls on Trampolines. Mm-hmm. And so those were the first three we learned that summer. I was back home from college, so like 19? 20?
Yeah.
Anyway, 19, whatever. So we did that, and then before going off to school, did a Laundry Girl video that
we did a Laundry Girl
will
video.
never see.
Not because you're not allowed to, but because we don't know where it is. No, well, we just got, and then so once we kind of got together and we're doing that. Tim had moved down to Tulsa after graduated. I was doing my 5th year of college. He moved down to Tulsa to start a business with someone he knew from college, and it was related to bands and touring. And he was like, all right. I was like, so when I graduate, I'll move down there and join you. And I got sick of my 5th year, senior year, about halfway through, and I was like, I want to go do this now. And right before I had just broken up with my girlfriend. I was like done with the lease. I was like, I'm moving to Tulsa. I'm doing this. There's no distractions. Tim's like, yeah, Jason doesn't want to do the business anymore, so I'm going to come back to St. Louis. And I was like, no, you can't. You will stay there. We were moving. I cannot stay because we just wanted no distractions. So we moved down to Tulsa. $300 a month, 900 square foot place, and
that you paid in cash through bulletproof glass.
Yes. Oh boy. You did that.
I
did that
went
part.
and did that. Yeah.
And then we and the Tims knew each other. 2 ferrets, Randall and Skeletor, and
they had a bedroom before I did in the Tulsa house.
they did.
Rest in peace.
They did. That wasn't right.
No.
In retrospect.
Thank you.
I'm validating it.
I've been waiting so many years to hear you say that.
No. Oh, poor Tim had it so bad. Pimo was on the couch forever.
And to be fair, the ferrets were there first. So, but then you guys knew each other from high school bandy days.
Yeah. So freshman year of high school, I was at a party with some friends I went to grade school with, and they knew this guy, and I was like, "Who's the guy in the MU 330 T-shirt?" And then we talked and became friends. That's a band that's from here that we loved, and so yeah, we became friends in high school.
And you were finishing up your 7th year at Mizzou? No. You did better than I did, man. You did better than I did. But I went back and finished. Go ahead. You finished too. You finished
too.
But you did
I did one extra semester.
Right. I left
the University
early,
of Missouri.
but I went
MIZ.
back. Yeah. Hey, Tiger.
So I was living in Columbia, and so I knew Ludo as my friend Tim's band, which was really just the 2 of you. So I saw shows and stuff and was like supporting my
playing
friend
acoustic, yeah.
Tim's band. Yeah, the 2 of you at the coffee shop somewhere.
That's the part that what's getting lost in this. It's starting to sound like, oh, is this like organic thing? And we knew whatever. It's like like we moved down to Tulsa to this death house. And started playing open mics every night and just playing.
That was a rule. Play every single night, no matter what. Like, well, they don't want to book us. It's like playing a street corner.
Yeah,
we would play at a strip club.
Anywhere.
So we played on the right side of chicken wire, so people didn't throw drinks at you. Like literally, like every open mic, anywhere anybody would let us play. And some of those shows were remarkable because you'd be playing a show and be like, God, these people don't care. This is a country bar. It's 3 a.m. This is terrible. But there'd be one guy watching you the whole set. And you'd be like, it's that guy. We're gonna get that guy. And he's like, you could tell he's kind of drunk, but he's just watching the whole time. And then after the show, right before the last song, I remember he said quite clearly, he goes, I'm gonna beat you up after the show. And it's like, oh God, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
This guy.
That wasn't the last time.
Yeah, no, that happened again.
The one guy with the Northwestern or whatever. What? Take a break forever.
Take a break forever. That was
Take a break
good.
forever.
I kind of like that.
Take a break.
Take a break forever.
No, that was at the Midwest Music Summit. That was our first show.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah. That was painful.
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
So we would play every night, just the 2 of us, and do acoustic stuff. And we had made this 3-song demo, and we would print the demo in real time on a CD on the laptop that I bought myself after graduating college.
Yeah, and people, and we're talking about there were no demographics going into this. It's just kind of like, oh, you're in the vicinity of this. You can hear this sound. So it's like, hi, I haven't listened to any music since I bought a Bob Seger cassette tape. Like, oh, you guys are okay. You have guitars. What's the sound here? So.
There's like NASCAR bars, Mexican restaurants, all kinds of stuff we were playing.
Yeah.
A bowling alley in New Orleans.
But what's great about that is that playing to nobody or a bunch of people who don't care, or worst case scenario, people who want to beat you up, really kind of puts it in perspective. It's not like you're playing shows for 300 of your friends, like, oh, we're on top of the world. It's like, no, we are.
Yeah,
we
nothing
are just
cool
on the
about
bottom
it.
of a shoe.
No, yeah.
I find it to be remarkable. Sorry,
Oh,
Tim.
no.
I find it to be remarkable, though, because I think that when those kinds of things happen to a person like me, I'm done. Hi, I'm done. I'm going to go get a job in a building. You know what I mean? But for you guys to continue to have all of this happen and continue to go, no, you know what? I want more. This is all just like a part of the process. I find to be pretty amazing.
Well, because it didn't suddenly occur to us after we built up some momentum. It was something where Tim and I said, we're doing this. We're just, cutting the cord and we're going, no matter what. Try to book shows all day, play open mics every night. And then we pulled, Tim Convy came in and joined us, said, and we very deliberately, because it was kind of hard to get your attention, your full attention when you were in Colombia. You're still doing your thing. And it was kind of, because we wanted Tim to help us. And we were like, well, he's great on stage because they've been in bands together. And
So correct me if some of this is wrong. So Tim and I had been in bands together in high school and college a little bit, and I sang in all those bands. And so
Right.
one night in Columbia at the Music Cafe, Ludo was in town, but also all the members from the band that Tim and I had been in the past were there. So we got up and played and had a good time, and then went to my house afterwards in Columbia.
Yes.
And Andrew, who had a few drinks, cornered me and said, there was a party in my house, and he cornered me in my bedroom and said, you got to join Ludo.
Sounds about right.
And I was like, and because I had played bad guitar and sang in bands, and that was it. And he's like, you're going to play keys. And I said, I don't play keys. And he said, I'm going to teach you.
I don't know how to play keys, by the way.
It was probably close to 2 a.m, and I was like, cool, why don't we talk about that later and go back to the party? He's like, no. And he started writing out, there wasn't a keyboard in the house, and he drew a keyboard on a piece of paper.
I taught you, yeah.
And was explaining music theory.
Yeah. Because Tim and I had talked about it before, like, we got to find a way to get him on board.
Well, we wanted you to play moog.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not keys so much as moog.
That's true. So
Which nobody in the world knows
So
how
then
to
I'm
play.
like, I'll come hang out with you guys. I'll help with some shows, and we did some acoustic shows in this terrible, terrible van, and it was terrible. And then we went to Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is where this company called Sweetwater is. It's this big music company. And while we were there, they spent $300 that they didn't have on a Moog and said, now you have to join. What did I say?
3,000. You said 300.
Oh, $3,000 on a Moog, and said.
These are $2,003.
Right.
And said, so now you have to be in the band, and I was stuck,
Yeah.
and I had to learn that.
But there was a moment, and I certainly didn't do it gracefully enough, but was selling it to you. But there was certainly a moment when you got the tingles, because you're a performer, you're a born performer, you love it. You love, and because I saw you in when you guys were doing Hot Licks, your cover band. Like you love it up there, and you know how to work the crowd, and it's great. So I think there was.
We'll see how this goes.
There had to be a moment where you're kind of like, well, I do want to kill it on stage again.
I was inspired. I remember hearing Hum Along, and it knocked me out, and to this day, maybe my favorite song. And so I was inspired and wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't figure out how it was going to work. And then we got the Moog, and I got in front of that thing, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it all kept going.
Yeah. And then, and we did we needed a drummer and a bassist, obviously, because we were going around on our acoustic tour telling people, we'll be back in the fall with our full-length record and our with the full band, and we didn't have a full band. We certainly didn't have a full-length record. But we put out an ad on basically every site we could find across the country. This drummer/bassist needed to help take over world, and it was basically like, do you want to break up with your significant other, quit your job, drop out of school, and move into a tiny house with a bunch of strangers and work for no money and spend all your days doing this nonstop with absolutely no guarantees of anything? Then you're the guy for us. Yeah.
Palermo was like, yep.
I'm in. Matt was in.
Sign me up.
And because you got a lot of people. You got a lot of people who call and or like email back. They're like, yeah, no, I'm totally in. I want to do it, man, 100%. I need about $2,000 a month as child support, and then I gotta be home every other Thursday, and I certainly have to spend weekends with my mom. So it's like, no. literally cut yourself out of your life and join the dark side.
So yeah, so Matt was 19 and came up. In 19, looked like he was 14.
I just made it to 19.
And he was in a hardcore band, and we're like, that's the guy.
Double kick to hell.
And do you remember coming up that first time to visit? So we had people come in from, not a ton of people, but a handful of people came to Tulsa to audition for this band that had never played a show and didn't exist.
Not real.
We had demos. We had a demo though.
Yeah.
We had a demo.
Hello, my name is your TV. Something. What do we have on there? Hum along.
Roxy, yeah.
Roxy.
We had a demo and a dream.
But what leads you to make that jump? That's a big jump.
Stupid, bad idea.
It started with all I wanted to do was play drums in my life. You know, that's kind of where I was at this point, confused. What the heck am I going to do next? I remember Hum Along was that was kind of it sealed the deal for me. I liked this, even though I was playing this weird hardcore music at the time. This
How
song,
do they sing like that?
that song in particular, kind of it affected me. It spoke to me, and for me, it was more nerve-wracking to join at a young age. And I remember being so nervous. I have never been on tour before. Is this going to be okay? I thought they were a big deal.
No.
I thought it was a thing.
Not even a little bit.
You might think that though when you roll into a house and it's like that's the ferret's room. You sleep on the couch.
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better at all.
Yeah.
You think-
It's like, you got a couch? This is great.
This was a heaven
This
for
is
me
so
at
much
the
cool.
time. I get to go on tour. Sweet.
I mean, I think there's to your general point about, like, if that was me, I would be like, I'm out. I guess that's kind of the general theme is, like, if a train is moving quickly and down tracks that are going in a particular direction, I mean, magical things can happen. I mean, but you just have to have that drive and that momentum, but you have to be going toward a good destination. Some people have that toward something awful, and that's you don't want to get on that train.
Well,
I was going to say, and so to answer your question about what the goal was at the very beginning, when we finally had Matt and were ready to go, we didn't know anything. We thought we knew so much, and we didn't. But the goal that I think
You knew
we kept
a lot more
saying,
than we knew.
I knew about that much. But the goal was to get our music to as many people as possible. We said it all the time. Later, those goals became more informed, and it was like, is a label right for us and this and that. But at the beginning, it was get our music to as many people as possible, and that was playing every show possible, never saying no, handing out music, doing whatever we could. That was the goal.
what is the timing of band completion to label interest?
So
Whoa,
we were
yeah.
full-blown Ludo with Matt in summer of 2003.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It was
End of-
2003. I graduated high school in 2002.
Yep.
I thought I had done a full year of college, so I thought it was 2004.
No, it was definitely 2003.
Crazy.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, you were in by summer of 2003. So then, sorry, what was your question? Label?
No, it was just at what point, and maybe even, here's a better way to rephrase it. At what point did it start to become apparent to you guys that the label option was maybe like a legit thing that could happen?
Like 5 years later.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
so
no,
it's
no,
still-
no,
I
no.
don't
3
think
years
it was
later.
that-
Yeah, it was like
3 years later. It was 2006. We started talking about that.
Yeah, we signed in October 2006. I mean, so we everything we did, we recorded the first album before we had ever played a show. We had not been on stage.
We'd met all each other 3 weeks before that.
Wow, is that true?
Yeah. Matt arrived 3 weeks before, then we went to St.
And-
Louis. and
Yeah, we
recorded.
just practiced, rehearsed, and recorded.
And there was already studio time booked before I even entered the band.
That is true. And the
It was
guy, we're
already
like, we're
booked.
going to do a full-blown record in like a week. And the guy's like, no. And then so we got in there.
Maybe we'll have the song.
He sat with Andrew for 5 minutes and realized how, how perfect we wanted everything to sound.
not
And was
gonna
like,
happen, yeah.
you're going to need more than a week. And yeah, so we did it right at a place called Jupiter Studios right here in St. Louis. Did the first record. I don't recommend any of this, by the way.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing,
Yeah.
like, we had no we didn't know what we were at all. Like, we had no sense. I think we had 5 different ideas about what the band was.
And to me, that was so cool.
Yeah, but the
man.
funny thing is, on paper it's cool, but then you get on stage and when you have everyone's playing their own show and their own band, it's like, Wait, so he's in Journey, and he's in who are these people?
Yeah, the first stuff was rough. So we put out the record, started doing shows, and then whole lot of time in there. We went from being just atrocious when we started. We were really, really bad playing shows. To except for Matt, he was great, and to getting to figure it out, and it's what they were saying about how much you learn playing these terrible shows. We played a show. One of our things from the beginning, we thought to make money was to book colleges. So we'd call up colleges and try to play colleges because there was some money there. And one of them was a college in Dallas, and the kids who it's the student activities board is how they book you, they bring you in. A couple kids from the student activities board hooked us up. It was at a pool at the university, and they were like, all right, see ya. They left. No one came. We basically had band practice playing to a pool at a college in Dallas, which sounds terrible, except for Tim Ferrell played the guitar solo from Epic on the top of the lifeguard stand.
Whoa.
And only we were there to see it.
And to round that out, we actually arrived there to play this noon show after playing in Manhattan. So we drove straight from New York to Dallas to do that.
Which is not the worst one. Because later we did a worse drive.
Later we did a worse drive.
That's not the worst one?
No.
The worst one, without giving you, we can do the full play-by-play, but the worst one ended in the show at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, where we hadn't slept at all. I remember Andrew carrying me through an elevator because I was like collapsing. And then it was that show in Austin at South by Southwest that all the labels came, and we were the thing they all wanted to check out that we ended up getting.
Yeah, but that wasn't the worst drive. The worst drive was when we played a show in Manhattan.
At the Lion's Den, loaded out at 2 in the morning.
Loaded out at 2 in the morning and drove and only turned the car off to get gas until we hit L.A. for a showcase in L.A.
55 hours. And like we got out and just like touched the ground like crying. And
Yeah.
we loaded in to do a showcase from there.
Played the show, and then we went the next day to take the van because we were like, we should get a tune-up on the van just in case. And then we brought it in. The guys were like, yeah, when you brought your van in, just so you know, all the bolts that keep your engine on are gone. So when you came up over the curb, you might have lost the engine.
It's a long way to the top.
My gosh.
If you want to rock and roll.
But again, this goes back to what I said before. At that point, I'm like, all right, everybody, I'm going home. Like, to continue to go. But I guess at that point, you're kind of knocking on the door.
Sunk cost.
No, we were not knocking on the door at that point.
No, but it's kind of like this absurd sort of, you have to have this absurd, obstinate belief in the thing, and as long as, I mean, this is how people end up in cults, but like, the idea is that, you're moving toward a thing, and as long as like you're moving a little closer and you stop and check, yes, I do still believe in what's at the end of this path, as long as you're moving, I mean, you can always justify, going.
Yeah, I think two things. Yeah, you it's like you kind of alluded to, it's not necessarily always healthy either, but it does take that. You have to block other things out. You have to tell yourself that the alternative is only misery. If you don't end up doing the things that you want to do, that you will be miserable. And if you all believe that, then you're going to go through a lot of, empty swimming pool shows and stuff like that.
Because there's so many things along the way that beg you, whenever you're in a band, shh, slow down, party, be a hero, just hang out with your friends. Like, go to your girlfriend's house, hang out, just calm down. Play a show only when it's the best show possible. Practice for 8 months with your friends and really think through all the beats, and that's just a long road to never going anywhere. And as opposed to make yourself extremely uncomfortable and do everything badly, do it now, and then do it better tomorrow.
And it always got better. Like, we would see things. We would go to some town for the first time, maybe there'd be 4 people, but the next time there were 8 people. Mm-hmm. And we started connecting with people who were connecting with the songs and the music. So even though we were a long way from, hotel rooms or, paying our bills or anything like that, you saw that if we can, it was just get the music to more people, and then we like our chances because we saw what happened with the people that, did connect with it.
And the cool thing is, for me, is that, you get 100 shows, 200 shows in, and you think you know who you are or what your band is, but it's on the faces and the voices of all the people who respond to your band. You're like, oh, that's what we're putting out. Oh, I understand more who we are. And so you get to a place, that doesn't, now you can allow that to dictate who you are. Like, oh, that's not us, because like people would say that's not us, but you can't do that. It's a balance between sort of following your gut and also sort of responding to what people give you. But the idea of like being a band that just gets signed when they're still in whatever band in their mind, you know, each of them in a different band, is like, that's crazy to me. You don't know who you... So the great news for us was by the time we had any kind of label interest or anything, anybody who would come whisper in our ear, you guys are amazing, you need to work with me. I'd be like, dude, we know what we are. Like, you know, you couldn't... We had no delusions about anything.
Sure.
They were very late to the game. By the time they were interested, we had built everything on our own, which was the other ethos, was like, nobody's coming to save us because nobody's going to understand what we're up to. So we have to do it on our own.
100%.
They don't get it.
And because no A&R guy was gonna like get high fives at the office for being the guy who signed Ludo. No one's like, oh, like you know, I discovered. You know, it's not Vampire Weekend. No one's getting street cred for that. But I think we were able to build something with our fans. I mean, we were able to build something that was like, even if label people didn't get it, they're like, okay, well, these people get it, and something's going on here.
And they're going to the shows and they're buying the record and that's it. It was the independent sales that kind of started to raise the flag for the labels that, hey, there is something here, right? I remember working at Slackers, and holy crap, before I knew who you guys were, we were moving a product like crazy. I'd never seen very many national bands sell the way that you guys were selling at that time.
Yeah, we got to a point where we were selling a lot of records for an independent band and a lot of tickets for an independent band, not just in our hometown, but in other places. I mean, we had built audiences completely on our own without managers or agents or certainly a label. It was just us connecting with people and you know, spending time and and all of a sudden, you know, people all took interest.
And that was another thing. We specifically made a point of not just trying to grow locally, but like even when we're talking about open mics, we're going to regionally tour and play open mics.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
5 people in different cities.
The first tour was me, Andrew, Ferret's Toyota Camry. So
but the idea was that we're not just going to try to build the thing here. We're going to, I mean, if we're really doing this every day, we're not working some other job, let's go hit these 15, 20 cities over and over again. We played to 6 people this time. Fantastic. Now there's 9. This is great. You know?
So it was incremental amounts, but it was enough that you guys were like, hey, we're turning some heads here, even if it's a little slowly. Sort of
and then we got to, I mean, so we built St. Louis from handing out a lot of CDs out. You know, we'd stand outside the pageant in Mississippi Nights and Creepy Crawl and just give out the discs. And then it just sort of built, and then those shows got bigger. And once we had sort of something to offer in St. Louis, then you're trading shows with some of the bands in the other cities. And then that's when it felt like, we have, people will come see us. So bands like The Dog and Everything in Chicago and Anything But Joey in Kansas City and Upside in Dallas, and there's a whole bunch of them all over the place. Those, you know, they were the Ludo in their place, and we would trade shows, and then before we knew it, those people would come back. So Chicago was like a real thing, and when we were still completely independent, we could go, you know, sell a few hundred tickets every time in Chicago and Kansas City, and then it was 1,000, and so that's when people started to take interest.
I would bet when the major labels or when the labels started to knock, this feels like a group that would be very good at sniffing out BS from the absolute millisecond that it started to come out of somebody's mouth. Is it when they start kind of going after you, when they start showing their interest, can you kind of talk about what that process is like? Because I'm sure that it's very flattering, but at the same time, no, not flattering.
Well, it's flattering if you don't have any perspective. It's flattering if it's an elevator to a penthouse and it's like, oh yeah, I guess I am amazing. But like if you've actually spent the time interacting with fans and knowing what you are and what you're not, then people can whisper sweet nothings in your ear about who you are all day long, but you know who you are. And so, you know.
It's also like, it's a terrible business.
It's awful.
And the people who do it, I mean, it's all the things you hear. We got very lucky once we did find a home at Island, and we could talk about that. But the beginning part, and there were a few different waves of it. But I mean, we were selling records and doing things, but then some of these A&R guys would come see us, and because we were so uncool, would be like, I don't want to be the guy who signs that band, you know.
Right.
And before it grew, so we had one guy come in to see us for this showcase, and he was all about us, but all he had seen was the numbers. And so then he takes us out to dinner, and he's like, very clearly wasn't interested, which kind of hurts after seeing the show. And he's like talking a little bit.
Dinner was good.
So Are there any stories you guys want to hear about famous people in LA or anything?
Oh.
And you're just like, oh, so it makes you real disgusted for when you meet sort of the next one. And again, we were still growing. The whole time industry was involved, like our stuff was growing, and we were building a team. I mean, at that point, we did have our attorney who was from here, and a few other people that helped us grow.
But we talk a lot about fill your britches before you buy a bigger pair. You know, I mean, the idea of like, instead of like, you know, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. It's like, why don't you oh, this is getting a little tight. We need something a little bigger, and expand by necessity. But for me, I feel like so many of the dynamic that annoyed me about that sort of game of getting signed and everything was that there are certainly a number of people who work in that business who do have vision and do have an ear and do have this sort of creative sense of what can go and what can, what works and what doesn't, what people like. But then there's a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, who they just kind of wait for someone to say the Emperor's new clothes are beautiful, and then they go, oh yes, oh I'm interested now. It's like, I mean, but it requires, so it's kind of like once one tips, then they all go, oh yeah, I like you too, I like you too. But that doesn't. It's a weird process, and it makes things. It's stupid.
Talk about your experience on Island. Talk about that time. Talk about, Love Me Dead was a huge song at a time that alternative radio was really aggro-leaning, not like it is now. Obviously, just like to know about that experience. I mean, you guys played on Leno. I mean, there were just a lot of great things that were going on top of, in my opinion, and I'm not just saying this, You're Awful, I Love You is my favorite St. Louis release ever. Ever, period. What a great...
Wow.
No, and I would say this if you guys were not here, but every single song is so well written. It's just still one of those albums that I hold very near and dear to me because it's not dated at all. It doesn't sound like it came out 20 years ago or what have you. But I want to know about that time period with Island, the tours, the Leno, all of those things when you got that fancy Island label on you.
Yeah, so we signed in October of 2006. You're Awful, I Love You didn't come out until February of 2008. So we were on Island, but we were still pretty much doing things mostly ourselves. There was more of a team, and so we were kind of hustling. And a lot of back and forth. A&R guys were getting fired. Is the record going to come out? Are you going to get dropped at any minute? Because there was all these horror stories from other bands we had come up with that they get signed, they get a little money, and they get dropped. And so even our management by that time, who it didn't last super long, they were like, just chill out, wait till the record comes out. We're like, no. This is all we know how to do is to tour and continue to build this thing. And that's the only thing that's going to create urgency for them to actually release the record. So that's what we did. And we were still, Broken Bride gave us a boost that we rode for a really long time. And then eventually they put it out February of 2008. And that year was crazy. So the Point supported a ton early on. And I think originally they said with radio, they were just going to kind of do it regionally and see what happened. And then someone in LA at K-Rock started playing it like crazy. And then the label smells blood and they go nuts. I'm getting real inside baseball here and I apologize.
But it's the same dynamic as before. K-Rock goes.
K-Rock
so many just we want to do it. Oh, we like you now. It's like but which is great. It's great that they like you whenever, but it's also what are you basing these decisions on?
Yeah. Why weren't you working before? If they're like, now we're really gonna do you guys some favors. Well, what were you doing before?
This song sounded bad, but the song has changed over time in my mind, and now I like it better.
But our major label experience was a good one. Like I said, we had all kinds of people that go through terrible things, but we had a supportive team there who were pretty hands-off with You're Awful, I Love You when we made it, which was with a guy named Matt Wallace, who was just kind of a blessing that we ended up with him. And the kind of the story behind that, we talked with a bunch of people. And when you sign to a major label, it doesn't matter kind of who you are. Everybody wants to do your record because they want to do a record with that budget. So there's a lot of people that we got to talk with. Matt Wallace produced all the he had done the Maroon 5, the big Maroon 5 record, songs about Jane, but he had also done all the Faith No More stuff. And the one song that we covered from the time that we started in the Tulsa house was Epic by Faith No More. So when the guy who wanted to do Faith No More's record was interested in us, it just felt like that was a thing, because that song and that band had always kind of been a part of us, so we ended up with him.
And he just had such a fantastic vibe. He wanted to, he's got an amazing personality, and he just wants to collaborate. And he'll call it when he sees it, how he sees it, and be like, I don't think that's working, but he's there to, hear your solutions.
Yeah, I think a big credit to Wallace is that, like, he's a producer on your record when you haven't done it that way for a label, is like one of a long line of people who are trying to alter or affect what you do on some level. So certainly A&R guys and label people and whatever will often try to get their 2 cents in or get you to go a certain direction or do a certain thing. It's a credit to Wallace that he actually was somebody who was willing and able to collaborate, as opposed to other producers who will just steamroll you and make your record sound the way they like their records to sound. But I mean, we had tough calls to make on certain songs that we fought for weeks over, and he let us make final calls on.
And we went with him on a lot of it in the end.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, because he actually listened and actually cared, and he
Right.
he would push you right up to the cusp, and then he knew when to let us decide for ourselves.
And to kind of Andrew's point about knowing our identity, when it came to picking a single, L.A. Reid was in charge of Island at the time. He was a judge on one of those reality shows, and he's kind of this big presence in the music
Didn't his
business.
son have like a My Sweet 16 MTV episode
Yeah,
where it's like,
yes.
look at my ridiculous birthday,
Yes.
opulent birthday party?
Right.
Yeah.
He's this crazy mogul, and he decided he really liked Drunken Lament from the record, and L.A. Reid wanted that to be the single. But we had been playing Love Me Dead since before Broken Bride came out, and we knew that was a song that people just responded to. And so we, knowing that, kind of had the guts to push back and go, what about Love Me Dead? Which is such a weird song. I mean, it starts just guitar and vocal. It mentions finger banging within 60 seconds in.
It
And
does.
we were like, no, that one.
It would have played well in the 90s for sure.
Yes.
This works, put it on, whatever.
And they let us do it. But yeah, you were asking about like Leno and stuff. I mean, that year just went really, really fast. We were on planes. We were here, we were there. We were not sleeping much. We did Leno, we did Kimmel. We did the Final Four, NCAA Final Four. We did the Kentucky Derby. We did the
Lollapalooza?
Indy
Warped Tour.
500. Lollapalooza was 2007.
Warped Tour.
We did Warped Tour. I mean, it was a
Point Fest.
blur.
Yeah.
Enough though that a blur in the sense though that you still got to enjoy it. I mean, did
I wouldn't say.
Not like we should have.
No,
Yeah.
enjoy it. To me, like enjoy is like there's a denominator and a numerator. Like, my enjoyment bottle is here. Is it filled with enjoyment? Yes, I enjoy it. There was no enjoyment bottle. There was only the go. For me, so it was like, and there were certainly moments when it'd be like, this is cool, but it was just go, 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 and it felt rewarding and it felt right, but I don't know. There was not. Certainly weren't any, victory laps or anything.
Yeah. Did we slowly take it all in and enjoy it? No. There are moments that I think looking back now were like, that was incredible. I remember going to K-Rock and we were walking into the studio and the band Pennywise was walking out.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, they
Fletcher.
knew who we were. And they're like, we love the song.
Fletcher, who's like
What?
their
What?
guitar
Yeah.
player, is this like monster, terrifying man
Yeah.
with a rough, like whatever. His
Who I saw
credibility is rough, and they totally just stopped and was like, "We love that song. You guys are great." And I was like, "What?" So you kind of think Fletcher's just gonna hit you.
I saw him kick a security guard in the face at a show one time. Were you there, Riverport?
was that the first Warped Tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was like a riot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was like, Love Me Dead, man. Great work on that.
Thank God. Thanks,
Well,
man.
what's your inspiration?
Thanks, Fletcher.
Yeah.
We saw you kick this guy in the face, and we were like, "Oh."
Did you guys have anybody that came up along the way, Fletcher-esque maybe, that you really appreciated and respected, that had kind words for you, that really made a difference? Maybe somebody that you met or somebody that really liked Ludo, that you were like, wow, that's really neat. Maybe kind of a pinch me sort of thing?
I think a lot. We
I
crossed.
don't think any of my heroes like our band at all.
Yeah, no, but we
Glad
had
I-
we
glad I
had
phrased
more
it that way.
there were like cool band lessons along the way. Like we opened for Real Big Fish in Columbia, Missouri, and that was like a big deal at the time because we were still really small and whatever, and we liked them.
That'd be a big deal to
We
me
get the
now.
gag and whatever. So but they made a point of taking all their drums off the drum riser and letting us use the drum riser and play like a real band. And it was like, oh, we have to be like a real band. Like we have to treat
Make
people.
decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing. Because whether it's talked about or not, the headliner doesn't a lot of times want the opener to outshine them. They want them to do well, but only sort of to a certain extent, kind of.
Which is weird.
Which is very weird to me, because you would think you would want all bands to kick ass, because then everybody leaves talking about the great show.
Yeah. Mhm.
But that is a thing, and I was shocked to find out that that was a thing on my side.
Well, it's funny to talk about that, because I remember when we were only running around as an opening band, it was very much like this sort of deferent confusion. Oh, thank you so much. Every single one of us, make sure we say thank you, and we just don't touch, and don't go in there near the dressing room, and don't look anyone in the eye. No, it wasn't like that. But you certainly you're appreciative, and you're you stay out of the way if they're doing things, but then I remember it's weird though, because when we ended up starting to headline, sometimes you play with. Some band comes out and they're like, you come in, they're just like sitting in your green room, and they're like, they've drunk all your water, and they're like eating all your food, and just like, excuse me, can I get my jacket? And it's strange that how much you can appreciate it when people do actually respect each other, but then it's also so weird how many people just don't. They're just there living their rock and roll dream. And
Two things. No. Two things real quick. I want to make sure that we take questions from our good folks, the fans. Want to make sure we do that. But then also, too, point number 2 just escaped me in thinking about point number 1. But I just want to make sure we get those guys. And then, I was going to acknowledge the awkward transitions that Andrew and I both seem to enjoy that I just did right there.
That's great.
But I want to make sure that we do that before we get too long, because we've been enjoying the chat, and I haven't been paying attention to time one damn bit.
Oh,
yeah.
I think you're doing
I
great.
actually-
How about,
the way that
how
it's
about-
supposed to go.
How about Donny, guys?
Yeah,
So good.
Oh, this guy.
No, man, I just want to do you dudes justice. You know what
Thank
I
you.
mean? Like, the ability for me to do this sort of thing is just amazing. Like, I just love this so much, and to see you guys, I'll tell you what I loved about that show last night, and I'm an emotional guy, I will say that. But when I am watching your shows and I am seeing your fans sing those words at the top of their effing lungs and know every word and not miss one, it's why I love music. It's such an amazing thing, and I just loved being a part of that. And the passion level that your fans have for you, it made me nervous to do this today, because I was like, I know these guys know
They're
this
so
band
nice.
more than
They're
me.
the
They
nicest
are
fans in the world.
No,
They're
they
so
are
polite.
for sure. But
Don't
like,
you guys love Donny?
But I'm saying they are very passionate about you, and I just didn't want to hose it up. That's the long and short of it.
You can never mess up a Ludo anything, because we mess it up from the beginning on purpose.
Even at one
It's a
point,
feature, not a flaw.
Even at one point, a few weeks ago, we were talking about all the stuff, the 3 shows, and I remember, what are people going to understand, and what aren't they? And we were kind of having that conversation, and Andrew said, it wouldn't be the first time Ludo's confused people.
Yeah.
And it made me feel better about the whole thing. But we appreciate you doing this, and we appreciate all that The Point has done for us since
Yes, thank you.
2004,
No, man,
and we appreciate it.
We're happy to do it. I think one of the things to ask you guys, when you came back and when you announced the first show and saw the reaction,
Shocking.
can you kind of talk about that?
Utterly shocking.
I mean,
I was shocked.
I mean, because even from my side, it was like, well, this will sell out. But it was like it was crazy the amount of time. And then everybody was just, how can I get tickets? Can you just kind of talk about that time frame and the way that people have reacted since you have been back together to allow you to do these kinds of things? I mean, you took over a major venue in a major town over the weekend and sold out everything that you did. I mean,
And
that's
they were
amazing.
very patient with
They
it.
were extremely patient with us. You guys want to do what now? Bring in giant angel statues? What are you doing? But no, for me, the dynamic of last year was kind of pretty. It was pretty much like okay, because you guys, we should play a show for the people who haven't, they wanted a show, and so we'll play a show for you. And we did it, and then it sold out crazy fast. And then meeting the fans at Merch for me was sort of like, oh, you guys really wanted this. Because I'm not in another band. I don't have like a basis of comparison for like how loud fans ask for things. So. Right. For me, it was shocking. I was like, because I was kind of like, yeah, we'll do a little thing. Sorry, nope, don't mean to take up any more time. Get back to your life. But then, I don't know. People wanted it.
We didn't know. I mean, we'd like to. I think when we first announced it was like, we'll probably sell it out, but not in an hour. And then we added the second. I mean, it was overwhelming because we don't know. It had been 6 years since we had played a show. It had been 7 or something since we had been in St. Louis at all. So we had no idea that was going to happen. No idea the second was going to happen. And even this year, it's really overwhelming. And to Andrew's point, the first event that we did a year ago was that we did the VIP before we played any of the shows. So that was the first sort of experience of like, oh yeah, this part of my life, and people do care. And so many people that discovered Ludo after 2012 that had never seen a show, and it's been so fun this weekend and a year ago connecting with those people.
Yeah, you made a huge impact in my life in the sense that, Tim, and I've told you this before, I think I've told you guys as a band before, but my 19-year-old son, you were the first alternative band that he loved. And now he is just a gigantic music snob, just like his dad. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But he's, I mean, that was the first record that I remember hearing in his room. So he would be like playing with like Legos and stuff, man. And I would hear Ludo and be like, this is pretty cool. I don't know if his mom would dig this, but this is pretty cool, and I'm not going to stop it, And so it's just, I think also one of the things that I love so much is that knowing how much you guys genuinely appreciate your fans, that it's not a lip service thing. You guys could easily have done 3 shows, changed up a couple songs here and there, and your folks would have been happy that you just played. But you guys, that was not enough for you guys. You wanted to make sure that each one of these guys at the shows got an individual experience, and I think that's so unbelievably special, and it makes me respect you guys that much more. I think it's just such an amazing freaking thing. Because, I mean, truly, and I know you guys don't have to talk about the bad parts of the music industry because I can, because I sit in it every day, and seeing the band go the extra mile is not something that happens a lot. And so the fact that you guys did the 3 shows, themed them out differently, it's just so amazing to me. And I just as a fan, I just want to thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome.
But now feels like that logical time that maybe we want to get some questions from fans.
Let's get some questions.
You guys doing all right so far? Is this interesting? All right. So I think Jesse has a mic, so if you have a question... Oh, sorry, Donnie, you're hosting. Hit it.
No, dude, Tim. No, man.
This is the awkwardness I was hoping for.
I know.
You're talking... I didn't mean to talk... Sorry, you go ahead. No,
turn it off.
Well, because I am that guy. I'm an over-apologizer,
I want
for
this.
sure. But regardless, there should be a mic going around here somewhere, and I guess, do we want to have them raise their hands? And
Yeah, they're in charge. They got the first one.
She's ready.
Hi, guys. I love you.
Hi. I love you.
So my question, I kind of wanted to start with where are, I want to hear about, Angel in a Hoodie and, unreleased songs and where... Is that ever a thing? Could we ever hear any kind of...
When will you release Do Me?
That's a good question.
Because I think we would love any, unreleased...
You mean well, see, so that Angel in a Hoodie was released as an iTunes bonus track, or was it a hidden track?
Are they still doing that?
Do you guys know?
Every time
Electra's
they put out a record?
contract.
It's impossible.
Electra's,
How do you know
contract
Angel
on
is in a
there,
hoodie? Because Angel's an angel in a hoodie. Because that'll help us figure
How do you
out.
know that song?
The internet.
The internet.
But is it? Did we?
That's your answer.
We played it live
dark
before.
web?
Okay.
Well,
There's random songs that are when we put it out on iTunes, they need an exclusive. You put it out on Spotify, they need an exclusive. So some of those tracks, we don't even know what exists.
Yeah,
and
we
what
have no
doesn't.
idea.
But to answer your question about old demos and stuff, most of them I would say weren't released for a reason.
yeah. I think we would love it either way, though. But
You think that?
See, but
That's a great song.
But here's the thing.
That's a really good song.
Don't ask us to find the edge of what you like, because like we kind of want to do it. I really want to do it. I want to keep putting stuff out until you go, okay, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
And then, but like, you know, these guys, this is where these guys come in, oh, we shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea.
But that's also kind of a natural extension of like putting on good shows or like overdoing your shows. There's a point when people start to show up at concerts and you're like, oh, people finally come to see our band play. What do we have to do to make them leave?
Yeah. But it's not because we want them to leave.
No.
It's just because you're like,
but what do we have to
happens
do?
if I push that button 50 times? What happens? I think we did that last night. Oh my gosh. You guys hung in though. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. We have no plans on releasing. I mean, you could find it on the dark web, so you're good. You can find it. You got it.
I guess put your hand up if you got one.
Yeah, if you got one.
The next one with the mic.
All right, David here. Love you guys. First show was back in 2007, so seen you guys quite a bit. I just wanted to ask, I know for a lot of us fans, that delay in between, we got to a point where we were like, I love these guys, but we might never see them again. So how is that like for you guys with that huge delay in between, slowly getting together? Convy, you used to tease us on the internet. I remember people were like, oh, it might happen this year. I had friends who would text me about it, and then finally it happened. So I just want to know how that process was for you with all that time in between.
That's a great question.
What was it like teasing us?
Sorry,
I remember
Convy.
what that was like. I'll say this: when we played what had been our last show before last year, it was spring of 2012, and I don't think any of us thought that would. Are you
2011. Yeah.
sure? When was Winnie born?
May 2012.
It was in 2012.
You're right.
Yep.
Winnie, when were you born? Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was April 2012 in New York, and we did the casino as well. Anyway, when we played those shows, I don't think we thought those would be the last Ludo shows. There just wasn't anything on the books, and then 6 years passed. So I think it was something we all thought we would do at some point, but admittedly, enough time went by that it was like, is this ever going to happen? And then there was something about 2018 with it being 10 years from You're Awful, I Love You, and that crazy year, and 15 years from when we started, and it finally made sense.
Hi. So this weekend I've met a lot of fans. It's really cool. Everyone's super great. I have noticed that a lot of people have Ludo tattoos. I'm one of them. I have Hum Along on my ribs, but I know I'm not the only one here. So what is your reaction to seeing people come up to you and be like, I have your words on my body forever?
Who's got Ludo tattoos? Clap your hands.
Wow, man.
Beautiful.
It's not enough.
My reaction to that is the same as anytime somebody shares their own personal account of how they feel about Ludo and or what it means to them, and it's so like humbling, and humbling doesn't give it justice. It's like it's disorienting because it's like, people share things with these tattoos, but you say this song really helped me through this part of my life, and then this happened, and I wouldn't have had this without Ludo, and it's this stuff that like it is so humbling, very much in the literal sense of the word, that like I personally feel like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, I feel like I need to do something that's worthy of, like, there's no way there's anything that we're doing that's worthy of like something like that for you, but it is. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but like it just feels like you have this sort of back and forth emotion, then you're kind of just like, thank you. But it's unbelievable, and you don't want to question it. You just want to. I'll just keep doing what I've been doing, I guess. But it's amazing. I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah, it is. I think it's also, and this isn't like my take. I heard somebody write about this, but in those moments where someone's like, "Look at what I did," or "This is the effect your music had on me," being people who dedicated most of our lives to music because we were so inspired by someone or something or music in general. When we have those interactions, for me, I identify more with the person talking to me than I do myself in that role. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, I know what that's like. Yeah. It's just crazy that you're affected by something that I was somehow a part of. But the short answer is we appreciate it very much, and it's super, super cool.
It's like someone coming up to you and like what you're doing. Let's say you're just walking along a straight line, and someone's like, "It's actually a tightrope that the fact that you haven't fallen off it yet means everything to me in my whole life. And he's like, oh my God, you're saving the world right now. I was like, wow, oh God, that's great, but oh my God. Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. It's wonderful. Tattoo your body right now.
All right, who's next?
Hi, my name is Emily, and I absolutely love you guys. So whenever I do karaoke, people always ask me what song I want to do, and I say Lake Pontchartrain, and they're like, what? So we usually have to look it up on YouTube and get one with lyrics, and so everyone can follow along. Do you guys do karaoke?
Yes.
And if you do you have a favorite song to do, or do you do your own song?
I've never karaoke'd a Ludo song.
That'd be really. I mean, we could do that as like performance art. Like go somewhere and. But I mean, most people don't have it ready. You can get it off of YouTube. But I don't know. What's your go-to karaoke?
My standards are No Diggity by Blackstreet and Shoot by Salt and Peppa. I also currently I'm workshopping Ballroom Blitz by Sweet. So
Oh, wow.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's to look forward to.
hope to debut that real soon. I'll keep you guys posted.
Ferrell.
Yeah, no karaokeing since Tulsa. But in Tulsa, we definitely got free drinks for Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi.
I remember that. Somebody was like, "Why are you here?" And we're like, "Oh, we're just saying." They're like, "No, like you need to leave and do other things." We're like, "Yeah, we're working on that."
I'm more of a George Michael, One More Try, Boys to Men on Bended Knee, Dion Runaround Sue.
Which we used to cover
Yes.
in bowling alleys, among other
Yes.
places. Clarence Carter.
Clarence Carter, Patches. I'll do that. Patches, I'm depending on your son. It's a deep cut from Clarence Carter. You probably know from Strokin'.
Right. That was the only Clarence Carter song that I knew. That's what I thought you were going to say.
You gotta check out Patches, man.
No, Patches. At the beginning, the first time I heard Patches, I was actually on my way down to New Orleans for the trip that inspired the song Lake Pontchartrain. It was the middle of the night, and Patches came on this radio station in Mississippi, going down 55, and I remember. But they came on, and I was like, I was born and raised down in Alabama on a farm way back up in the woods. And my friend and I were like, oh, what is this? This is so dumb. But then, like, by the end, we're like, you can do it, Patches. You can save your family. Oh, God. Patches.
Yeah. Not like stroking. It's a different
No,
song.
it's different. I be stroking. I stroke it to the east. That's different. What was the question?
Pimo karaoke?
Oh.
I play drums, so I'm not a karaoke.
Yeah, right. I don't
And you
believe
probably
that.
noticed my lack of contribution to this conversation. So
I think you're doing great, Matt Palermo.
Adam Brooks.
Yeah, I know
What's your
Brooks
karaoke-
has a-
If you
what's your
need
karaoke
harmonies,
style?
I got your harmonies,
Gold.
but that's about it.
No karaoke for me. I prefer to lay down the low end for Ludo. That's my karaoke.
What would be Brooks's karaoke tune, though?
No. God.
Oh, God. I don't know.
It is tough. That's harder than I would think. Usually I'm pretty good at that.
I can't come up with anything.
We'll come back.
Yeah, we'll get
I
there.
just know I want to see Tim Convy sing No Diggity. Like, at some point or the other,
Yeah.
that's something I got to see, for sure.
Some dark, seedy places, Donny. You don't want to see them.
All right, who do we got next?
Me.
All right.
So I'm a new fan of Ludo. I've only heard of you the last couple of years, and there's some songs I still never hear. So a couple months ago, I have twin 5-year-olds. They kept asking to listen to Skeletons on Parade, and I don't have a clue what that was at the time. And
We
then,
didn't either, like last week.
So I get in the car one day, and they're like, I want to listen to Skeletons on Parade. Johnny turns it on, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I just want to know what inspires you guys to write such creepy things.
I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, it's like each song's kind of its own little movie, and to me, like, what would it sound like if a bunch of skeletons woke up on Day of the Dead and they danced around and had a party and told the living to stop moping around and praying and crying and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, to me, the idea of each song being its own kind of movie or its own short story it makes sense that here's a song that involves dinosaurs, and there's a song that involves pirates, and there's a song because in as much as no one goes to a movie director and is like, whoa, you made it. I thought you only made movies about a detective work. Like, how did you possibly think to make nobody? Michael Crichton. Like, how did you Jurassic Park? How did you think of that? It's that's what storytellers do. So to me. Why is it verboten to do that in music? Why don't more people do that? I don't know.
All right, who's next?
Hey. So this question is for Adam specifically, because you've been a little quiet this whole podcast.
Adam Brooks.
What's it been like for you the past couple of years getting to play with Ludo and kind of get in that?
Well, I started as a fan, right? So I met these guys in the fall of 2004, and was just enamored with the music and their personalities, and they never treated me as if they had anything to gain, but merely as a friend. So that coupled with great tunes, I just have always been a fan. And then in 2008, I believe November, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I dreamt that they fired their bass player and I played bass for Ludo. And the next day, they played Sokol Underground in Omaha, Nebraska with the Tommy Gunn Cantillon subbing on bass. Tommy Cantillon. And I was like, holy shit, it's happening. And I called Matt, and he's like, dude, don't do it. We got somebody. And I was like, I'm learning your songs like every day. It's cool. I'm there. And in February of 2009...
Tommy died in that accident.
The
rest is history.
Yeah.
No, Tommy, guys.
He's still alive.
He's fine. He's great.
He's alive.
We love Tommy.
Doing well.
He's great.
And then I think in February 2009, they flew me to Chicago, and I had a rehearsal with Ferrell, and it was like, cool, we're playing Milwaukee the next day.
Did we pay for
ready.
that flight?
Yes.
I hope so. I think we should have.
So it's been, to answer your question, it's been awesome. Like, to see people screaming at the top of their lungs for 3 sets is just unreal. Especially as a fan, to see it on stage and be a part of it is truly unbelievable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Adam Brooks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Play more shows.
So, thank you. So that's kind of what I was getting to. So this weekend was just incredible. Like, I've cried so much this weekend. Like, I'm about to cry again. It's just been so amazing to see you guys again. Like, I discovered you guys by total fluke when I went with my friend from Toronto to Columbus to see There for Tomorrow, who was opening for you guys, and prepare the preparation tour. And like he mentioned as well, you guys were just so kind to your fans, and I saw that, and it really touched me. And I was like, I want to know them too. And so you guys have just been incredible to see your journey, like, from that point on to now. And are you guys planning, like, is this an annual thing? Can you guys come back already? Like, we want this so bad. You know? An album, like something.
Because
I know you guys have your own lives, like, I know, but, like,
right.
We want this so bad.
I honestly, I was it's so touching to hear you share it in that way with such sincere emotion. So I don't think that the response that I gave to someone last night was like, so this is going to be an annual thing? No, that was today. So this is going to be an annual thing? I said, well, just last year and this year for sure. So I'm not going to give that kind of glib answer. I'm going to hold that back. And Tim Convy, take it away.
Yeah, by the way, is a pretty genuine dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the good news is that, like I said, 2 years ago, there was like, who knows, someday, maybe, whatever, and now we've found a way to make last year happen, to make this year happen. So honestly, there's 0 plans on the books right now, but that we figured out last year, and then not only figured out this year, but made it through what we were able to put on over there, and still be smiling and happy and here now, I think sends a good message for something happening in the future.
Avenge Batman!
You don't know what happened to Batman. None of you know.
But we will see. Like you said, we've got different things we're all pursuing, and children and things like that. So it's about making it make sense. But it made sense last year. It made sense this year, and we'll see what happens.
You know, I will say this. Just going to throw in my 2 cents where they're not needed. You know, in 2019, where technology is so amazing. I mean, you guys don't have to be in the same place to make a couple songs to put out. I don't know.
You're not wrong.
Is that right?
All right, who do we got else? Who's next? You mind? All right.
So, hello.
Hello.
Excuse my voice. I've been screaming all weekend. So, I have some more of like a personal connection to Ludo because you know my sister so well, and my dad has a picture of Convy, Ferrell, and Tom with him at South by Southwest day drinking with red Solo cups, and it's framed in our house.
Next to Jesus?
Oh, you know it. Jesus and Jordan Bennington.
It's the same person, right?
Same person, no difference. So I like all of us have like our favorite stories with you guys, like how Amber broke her ankle and Convy carried her to backstage and called the ambulance. And like my favorite thing about Ludo was I was like 8, I think, and I was obsessed with Matt. And there was like this whole moment where he was like, "Please leave me alone." But I just want to know what like your favorite, like your genuinely favorite fan connections have been throughout the years, like be it like overall, like, oh, I love it when fans do this, or like I remember the specific one point, like what brings you joy when you think about it on these previous years of being touring and being a band together?
I'll say for me the most intense, humbling, memorable fan moment was Nova. That was the boy in Joplin.
Yeah,
Springfield. Yeah, and his family would come out to our shows, and they were super enthusiastic, and it was just always great to meet them. And they would bring their son Nova, who had a condition that he wasn't supposed to live past 5 or something along those lines, but he was like 18, and then his dad would always email us and just he didn't talk about anything going on, but he would just always like, yeah, you guys need anything when you're coming in town, and anyway we were playing a show near where they lived, and he was in the hospital, and they were like,
they were supposed to come. We had time to meet with them beforehand.
Right. And because they were hoping they could go to the show, but it wasn't going to happen. And so we were like, yeah, he would love to see. So we went in and we played a few songs from acoustic. And it's just, that is to me like the essence of that moment of just feeling like, I don't know how we got handed this intensely valuable, beautiful thing that belongs to someone's heart. And it's so massive and it's so intense, but I certainly, the fact that I feel that way, that has, I need to keep that to myself, because it's not about how, but it's just, you feel this incredible responsibility, but also just humility and just awe that you get to be there. You just don't, you don't want to screw it up, and you're just honored, and that to me was just, it was the most impactful fan interaction that I've had, probably.
Well, I think we have time for maybe one more.
Okay, hi. I think one of the best parts about going to your shows is that you all have so much fun on the stage when you play. So my question was, what is your favorite song to play of your own?
Start this. Oh, me? I feel bad saying it because I butchered it 2 out of the 3 times we played it. There's a bunch, but if I have to pick one, I've got probably 3 or 4, but if I have to pick one, Poncho Train. Because it's a good balance between I get to move around and have fun, but I also enjoy the parts that I play, where I feel like I'm contributing musically.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm also able to enjoy myself and do what I do.
I would say, well, let's be specific here. If I can take and set aside the whole issue of how hard something is to sing and whether or not I can manage my throat to like hit certain things and hold back and not strain and end up, you guys sing. If I set aside all that, because honestly, so much of what I'm thinking, my feelings about it during the show is about executing and then having the moments with the crowd. But if that was all aside and I just have like magic throat for the night, I'd say Save Our City or Horror of Our Love? Wait a minute. I want to know what answer you guys would be like, boo.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say Save Our City and Pontchartrain, just 'cause I like the higher energy stuff. So I also enjoyed when we would do Epic. Like that was always a fun way to end shows because it was like you can just kind of make a mess of that and just end everything there. So
Yeah.
but high up tempo numbers.
Likewise. When I like the pageant, I get to step on this drum riser, and the monitors are just huge. So every time my foot hits that kick drum, massive. So I love the high energy stuff, and my adrenaline is pumping on stage. I mean, it's all of them. Sorry for the cop out answer. I know.
Thank you.
Wow.
No, I know.
You're actually a real thank you.
I will give you one. So I'm falling in line with Pontchartrain as well because that's so fun. I just kind of get to go wild on drums, which is always a blast. I'll stick with that.
Yeah, Brooks, you just can't say Pontchartrain.
I gotta say one.
And your
I gotta
karaoke
give
song
two.
is yours is Purple Rain.
Ooh, nice, Farrell.
Yeah.
Lovely Day.
Oh,
Lovely day. Lovely day.
Sure.
Lovely day.
I
don't know why that came to my mind just now.
I typically like the opener because you guys go bananas. It doesn't matter what the song is. People are just losing their mind. But I also love Love Me Dead because, again, you guys are screaming at the top of your lungs. And that is just, to be in the moment, to be on stage, to see 2,000 people just screaming and having fun, it's just an unreal feeling.
You guys singing is the best no matter what.
Yes.
Truly. It's unreal.
It is.
Truly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Everybody
guys.
for coming out tonight. What a great time this was.
And one more time for Donny and 105.7 The Point.